Greetings, YouTubers, from the dank basement. This is Paul Shalbetter, your Uncle Squinty, with a discussion of nasal snuff and nicotine levels therein. I get a number of questions from beginning snuffers or people interested in taking snuff for the first time, and many of the questions, of course, other than the ones having to do with technique and hygiene and where to buy, most often revolve around nicotine. This is a very tough question to answer, or series of questions to answer. And at the end of this video, you might make that. At the end of this video, you might find yourself more confused than informed. We'll try to inform you if we can, but it's pretty tough. So one of the most common questions I get is, how much nicotine is in nasal snuff? No easy answer. First of all, it does vary from snuff type to snuff type, even within a given manufacturer's range of products. Secondly, they don't list nicotine levels by weight on nasal snuff as they do on other tobacco products like Swedish Snus and American Dip and some brands of cigarettes. You don't get a number with nasal snuff. And even if you did, how much good would it do you? I mean, you might take much bigger bumps than I take. Or maybe your system absorbs the nicotine a little bit differently, more or less efficiently than mine does. So it's hard to say. How do you know how much nicotine is in the snuff? Well, it's going to be a subjective perception. I will hold up a snuff like this and go, yeah, this nicotine of this Sir Walter Scott's fine English border snuff really kicks ass. It might not for you. So that's the first question. How do you know how much nicotine is in nasal snuff? You really don't. But you do, after some experience, figure out which ones give you the most nicotine. And that's a question of experimentation, trying different kinds of snuff, different sized bumps, different intervals between taking bumps, how many bumps you take in a day or an hour or an afternoon. So it's going to vary for you. That leads me to the next question. What's the strongest fucking snuff out there? Because I want the snuff. I want the real snuff, man. I don't want no bougie snuff. I want the snuff. Strongest snuff, again, it's going to be subjective. I can tell you which snuffs I use and have used that affected me the most, or seemed to. The Walter Scott's Fine English Border Snuff that I just held up is quite strong in nicotine to me. Toke Quit, which is supposed to be a super high nicotine snuff, gave me plenty of nicotine, but not as much as I expected. You know, I figured it would be a puff per bump substitution for smoking Marlboro Reds, and it's not. It's, for me anyway, with my system, it's not even close. South African snuffs, NTSU, Taxi Red, very strong in the tobacco department. Some of the Delakia brand of snuffs, the Sparrow, is a fairly strong in nicotine snuff. But even Wilsons of Sharrow, Purcell, McChrystals, everybody is going to have one or two snuffs in their range that are going to deliver a little more nicotine than the others. And I suspect it's dependent upon what variety of tobacco leaf they use, what part of the plant, and how long the tobacco is dried, toasted, or otherwise cured. It's going to make a difference, I think. Third question, do you get a rush, nicotine rush? What snuff gives you a nicotine rush? Does snuff give you a nicotine rush? Rush, he said rush. Well, let's find out. I know this snuff from my experience has a pretty good amount of nicotine in it. So I'm going to open up the jar. We'll wander barefoot again using our clean fingertips into the snuff. Get an apple seed size pinch here. Kind of curl it up a little bit, compact it a little bit. I like this snuff, but I hate this snuff. It's very tough to get up into your nose and to get it to stay there. But once it does, it's wonderful tasting stuff, and you do get some nicotine. Oh, Christ, it's falling out of my nose. Okay, let's wait for the rush. Oh, wow, man. This shit gave me like the biggest rush. dude, like the colors and shit, man. I really like Slipknot. Dude, they're crazy, man. Fucking A, and I'm horny, I got it. Wow, the room's moving, man. I need some Oreo cookies and some garlic dip to go with them, man. Nah. Uh-uh. No nicotine rush. I'm not getting a wee either. It's like, hey, I just did coke, wee! No, it's nothing like that at all. But I do feel in my nostril, my pulse, and the capillaries of my nose, and that lets me know that I'm getting nicotine out of this snuff. So if I ever do a review and I say this stuff really packs the nicotine, what I'm saying is, to my perception, with the size of bumps I use, I can definitely feel the nicotine. Some snuffs, it's a cumulative thing. You have to use a lot of it over time, and you start getting some nicotine, start to feel it. Others, like the Walter Scott's or the Taxi or the Toke Quick, you get the nicotine right away. You know it's there, but it's going to vary. So I really don't know. It's kind of unfortunate. The leading U.S. retailer of nasal snuff, until the enactment of Mr. Obama's Prevent Access to Cigarettes by Teenagers, or PACT Act, they used to be able to sell nasal snuff from a U.S. company to U.S. customers. They can't anymore under law. And the company went out of business and sort of, I don't know the history of it. I don't know how Mr. Snuff is involved or if they're involved. But they don't do business here anymore. But the unfortunate thing to me always was their name. The name Nicotine Rush, which was the name of the company, implies that you are, in fact, going to get a rush from using nasal snuff. If you've ever gotten a rush from nasal snuff, please post a comment and tell me how much and what kind of snuff you were using. Also might be helpful to know how many cigarettes per day and what brand and strength of those cigarettes you were replacing, or what is your basis for comparison. It would be interesting to know, because I really don't think there's a scientific answer. I really don't. Obviously, different snuffs, as I said, will provide different amounts of nicotine. But having an equal or perhaps even greater effect on that nicotine is how you yourself absorb it, process it, and perceive it. So there aren't any easy answers as to what's the strongest snuff, what's the weakest snuff, what snuff should I try. I really want a lot of nicotine, how much should I use? All of that stuff is going to be up to you to discover for your own body, your own preferences for scents and aromas, whether you like medicated snuffs or not. There's lots of variables. Try a few different kinds, and you'll pretty soon come to your own ideal level and brand of snuff. Another question I get is, did nasal snuff help me quit smoking? No. Did not. I've been a tobacco user since I was 18 years old, give or take. Mostly cigarettes, some plug tobacco, some dip, but mostly cigarettes. And I was a high tar and nicotine brand smoker. I still am once in a while. I haven't gotten them off them completely. My first step was to try electronic cigarettes. Had a lot of fun with the different flavors, was a big fanboy for Kick Bass Vapor and a couple of the other fine e-liquid manufacturers out there, many of which are cottage industries. Vermilion River is another huge favorite, Johnson Creek. They all make a good product, but I got sick of dealing with the batteries and filling the cardos and the mess of the nic liquid, and I would reach for an e-cig, grab it, really craving some nicotine, hit off of it, and get a little nicotine liquid in my mouth because the battery had gone dead. So not an ideal thing for me. Swedish snus, loving it more and more every day. I love the flavor. I love the fact that I don't have to use a mud jug and spit that shit out my mouth. Yeah, it's really great. I get to fuck up my teeth and all go turn brown. I get to spit this big brown turd out of my mouth every 5 seconds into my mud jug and go watch some NASCAR. Fuck. He's right. I'm going to have sex with my cousin, too. I'm going to have 3 headed children. That way we can collect 3 times the Social Security and the welfare. We'll just call Bender, 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 and Bender. Yeah. I'm sorry, I go on these little rants about, I really hate dip. I feel sorry for people that feel compelled to have to spit diarrhea out of their lips 6 or 7 times an hour. It's pretty sad, actually, but that's just me. If you like dip, man, more power to you, man. Just keep your mud jug clean. That's all I'm saying. And brush your teeth once in a while, or you ain't never going to get kissed. Unless, of course, the girl chews, too. Then you can sort of snowball with the shit juice. Be fun. Yeah, don't like dip. Don't like it. But that being said, I really like Swedish snus. Okay, I got off on a tangent. About quitting cigarettes. I still smoke, but about 10% of my nicotine intake now comes through cigarettes. About 5% comes through electronic cigarettes. I still pick mine up once in a while. I got a couple of different kinds. You know, I use the 510 and the 808 style cartomizers. Can't drip for shit. So that accounts for about 15%. Swedish snus probably takes care of 40%. And the remaining 45%, I would say, is nasal snuff right now. So you may have to combine nasal snuff with other non-cigarette products in order to wean yourself off of cigarettes, if that's what you want to do. But I think the main goal, whether you're using nasal snuff, Swedish snus, electronic cigarettes, your main goal is you're trying to reduce the potential harm that you might be doing to your body by smoking. Look, nicotine itself is not carcinogenic. It's not mutagenic from what I've read. But that doesn't mean it's good for you. Nicotine is still a vasoconstrictor. That means it shrinks the diameter of your blood vessels. That makes your heart work harder. And incidentally, like any stimulant, like caffeine or meth or whatever, nicotine is making your heart beat faster, and it's raising your blood pressure. It's probably hard on your kidneys. And nicotine itself, just nicotine, has been associated with stomach disorders. Some of them pretty serious, some pretty serious acid reflux and stuff like that. So I'm not saying that it's good for you. No matter how you get your nicotine, it's crap. And if you use a tobacco product of any kind, and I'm not including e-cigarettes with this, but nasal snuff, snus, dip, chaw, plug tobacco, rectal tobacco, I don't know, you're still getting something called nitrosamines. nitrosamines. And these are chemicals that occur in tobacco leaf that are carcinogenic. So I'm not going to ever claim that nasal snuff or dip or snus or any of that stuff is safe. But it might be safer. Just like there's no such thing as completely safe sex, but you can practice safer sex. The same thing goes with tobacco. My intuition is, and my feeling from the reading and the research I've done online, undoubtedly some of it flawed and incorrect, but my overall sense is you can reduce harm or the risk of harm a little bit by using another type of tobacco other than cigarettes. So if you're currently a cigarette smoker, you might have to try a couple of different things. You might have to try the nasal snuff, maybe some snus, until you find the right balance of things that gives you the nicotine, satisfies the oral craving, your craving for flavor and scent and taste. And once you come up with that magic recipe, you might be able to even put those damn cigarettes down. Eventually, I hope I'll be able to. I've been a smoker since I was 18. I'm now 55. So, the goal, and someone said, oh, why don't you just go cold turkey? Why don't you just put the damn things down, boy? Jesus hates you if you smoke. You ain't no ashtrays in heaven, boy. You're going to go to hell. A lot of smokers in hell. I've been addicted to nicotine since the day I was born. My mother smoked with me while she was pregnant. There was cigarette smoke in my house the entire time I was growing up. I was riding in my parents' car in the Minnesota winters with my mother and my dad, both smoking at the same time. I got a lot of nicotine before I even took my first steps. So I figure I've been addicted to nicotine my whole life. But that doesn't mean I gotta smoke. And if I can find a way to reduce harm, nasal snuff being part of it, I'm going to. From the dank basement, just goofy as hell from lack of sleep, but at least I got a new haircut. This is your wicked Uncle Squinty, Paul Shellbitter. Thank you for commenting. Thank you for pressing the like button. Please do like me on Facebook and come check out my Facebook page, which is nothing. It's shit because blind people have a hard time using Facebook. But like me, make me go viral, help me monetize my videos, help me get rich, help me buy myself a life. Well, it's too much to ask, but at least keep watching. Thanks.